Tuesday, and we have a lot of great topics to cover, as well as episodes to announce that are airing today on ROI TV. I hope everyone is having a good start to their week and feeling motivated in the new year. I would love for people to leave a comment below telling me what their resolutions for the new year are, even if your resolution is to relinquish the pressure of a resolution. I want to hear all about it. I feel like that's mine anyway. Maybe we'll incorporate your answers into our next Hot Topic segment. You never know. Please, everyone, grab a cup of coffee and sit down with Hillary and I while we dive into some hot topics in today's news. Drum roll. Woo. So today we will be talking about inflation.
Such a lovely topic.
I know. As I was reading about this, I thought this actually makes sense. I know everyone else actually when they're going to get gas right now. It's a little painful, isn't it?
And groceries too.
Oh, absolutely, with groceries.
But we read an article from NerdWallet that says inflation will affect over 40% of Americans.
Yeah.
Specifically, mostly the lower income and working poor. Mm-hmm. Those of middle and higher income, yes, inflation is going to affect savings.
But they might not really notice it.
But not notice it as much, yeah.
Because it's gone up, they said in the article, 7% in 1 year, which is the most it has gone up in 40 years.
Yes.
That's kind of freaky.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it is amazing. You can see it from just going to the grocery store, going to the gas pump.
Yeah.
Housing prices have gone crazy.
Yep. Everything.
And not everybody is seeing the wages also increase. Now, some people are, which is great.
Right.
But to keep up with that 6% or 7% is not happening.
Oh, and I feel like the people that it's affecting the most are the people that were already affected the most by the pandemic.
Right.
Losing jobs and, the working class restaurant workers and things like that. People who are living paycheck to paycheck anyway, if their, grocery bill goes up 7%, that's major.
Right.
Isn't it?
And I think it was really interesting, or was eye-opening for me, was the fact that people in the lower income or working poor who fit into that bracket, they're already shopping generic typically, so they can't go down to a lower bracket in terms of buying groceries.
Right, there's no
place else to go down. Like if you're, upper income, you're like, oh, I won't shop at Whole Foods anymore.
I won't buy organic this week.
Right. There's ways you can, alleviate that.
Whole Foods, whole paycheck is what they call it,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. And, I think that actually really affected me a little bit in reading this article, was knowing how close people really are and how much this really affects a lot of Americans.
Yep. And 40% of Americans, that's
a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
So, and I don't know what the solution is other than...
It didn't say in the article if there's a projected time for this to sort of ease off, did it?
No, it did not.
I think that's what I was looking for. I was like,
where's the silver lining? Where's the happy ending happening here?
So when's it going to get better?
But what it did say is that, especially people who are being affected by this, they lose one paycheck. They have a medical issue that happens. They have to fix a car, or, something goes wrong that they didn't budget for. That puts them off very seriously on their road to, savings, let alone just being able to be financially independent.
Right. What I'm realizing now is we needed to marry this topic with another article that was giving advice to everyone on how to manage these hard times, and we really don't have any advice. We are just here to give the news, which is not the most pleasant, but we can be hopeful. We could remain hopeful. I mean, how much worse can it get?
I mean, I think that is the hard thing, that your finances do affect, your overall stress level.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, you hope that it gets better, and you hope that wages rise to meet the demand of the inflation, but it also is tough for those industries that are probably mostly affected, like people who work in restaurants, people who work in hospitality, in retail. yes, we've seen that in the news where now $15 an hour is almost standard in a lot of different industries.
Right.
Whereas, it was like $7.50, and there's been a lot of pushback from people who think that that's too much, but then you learn about how much inflation is affecting people specifically with these types of jobs. And, it is important to make sure that people are getting paid properly so that they can have a good life.
Oh my gosh, I can remember when minimum wage, and I had like my first little hustle job in high school, and it was like 7 something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that's it's not a lot of money.
No. I mean, I think I got hired at like $8.25.
Really?
Working retail at 18.
And you should get like a 25-cent raise.
Yeah.
And you're like, Mom,
right.
Guess what?
But I also wasn't paying bills and having to pay rent.
Exactly.
And having to do all those things.
It's different when you're in high school and you're living, in your parents' house or whatever.
When you're paying just for gas, or
when you have children and a family that you're providing for. I mean, the pressures, I can't even imagine what families in those situations are going through. It is tough times. We are not out of it.
No,
we are, and it is all a product of what's been going on with the pandemic, isn't it? It's really it's
supply chain issues.
Yep.
It's even just having enough workers to get the food out of the fields.
Yep.
And I was reading an article that the price of romaine lettuce is going to go up because farmers didn't plant as much romaine this year because the last year nobody was eating salad, or fewer people were eating salad. It's not that nobody was.
I just think it's funny you brought up romaine. My husband watches those. He's like, why do you always buy romaine? It's such a boring filler. But I love it. It's just like light and crunchy, and it's just always there in the house. And now that you're telling me this, he's going to watch this and be like, no more romaine.
It's getting too expensive.
It's too expensive. Shoot! Not my go-to produce buy. Okay.
Go with spinach or something.
I know. He'll be happy.
Mixed greens.
I know. Kale. Whatever.
Well, but you don't always want... I like to have my kale cooked. That's just personal.
No, I agree. There's a texture issue there. Yeah, sometimes it's like it takes too long to get through it. That's a whole other topic, I guess, isn't it?
We could talk salads some other time.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Back to inflation.
I just took us down a tangent that was one of the least interesting. If you're still watching, thank you.
I think that they did have some tactics for people to try to take to heart if inflation is affecting your bottom line a lot. One of the things was prioritizing your essentials.
Yeah.
The second thing was if you do have issues with taking on too much debt because of an unexpected expense or loss of income, to call your creditors ahead of not being able to pay that bill.
Right.
So that you might be able to go on a payment plan so you can keep your lights on, you can keep your internet on, hopefully, work with companies, because typically companies will work with you because they want some of that bill instead of nothing.
Right.
And then one of the other ways was to ask for help.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of different services out there. 211, you can call that, and 211.org are both places that are have lots of resources for financial disasters as well as other disasters as well.
Right.
And so those are some good tips to have in case you are feeling that inflation is affecting you really badly.
Oh, we got to the tips.
There's your tips.
So
they're not really sunny or happy, but...
No. But it's good to have, some backup plan in mind. Mm-hmm. If there's some things that you can be mindful of or you can prepare for, if you know, like, this month is going to be tight or I'm not going to make it, there are some options. Not ideal, but they exist, right? So, you know what? We're gonna go to a commercial break, and we're gonna come back with
real estate.
Yeah, it's real estate, and I don't think it's as... It's not a dark topic. No. It's interesting. Interesting topic. Interesting things are happening in real estate today, and we're going to come back and talk about it. So we'll see you in a second.
Yep.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hot Topics. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I like to call it Hot Topics. I don't know if that has been like solidified as what this is going to be called, but I've just been going with it, and everyone's been looking at me like, okay. So
hot coffee, hot topic.
Exactly. Yeah. See. Hey. But we are going to be talking about, the market today, which is really interesting. And we both read a really interesting article written by a real estate editor about, what was it? It's 8 surprising lessons a real estate editor learned when buying
her first home. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which I kind of personally loved this article because I could relate to every single thing she was saying, because she was looking for a house outside of the city. The only difference was my husband and I got our house, truly, we closed on it about a month before the pandemic hit, and the market was very different. And thank goodness.
Yeah, right?
But now I'm hearing what she's going through, like doing it, after everything that's gone on with the pandemic and how the market has changed. And oh my goodness, so many things hit home of, what the surprises and what to look for, especially when it came to taxes.
Yes.
You're like calculating, your monthly payments, and you look at, just the cost of the
mortgage. Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. And
then you add in the taxes.
And it depends on where you live, of course, in the country. But yes, I do know.
Or it can even be city specific.
Yes. And I do know around New York City, if you're, anywhere near the city, like all of those towns, the taxes are crazy. And so, yeah, that was a hard pill to swallow. But of course, they sell you with they have great schools.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like, this is why no one retires here. Everyone's like, we're going to Florida.
That and the cold.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
Well, and I thought it was interesting. We also bought our house pre-pandemic in Philadelphia.
It's really cute. I saw it.
Thanks. You like it? And we had kind of a very different, the market was very different at that time. But the market the real estate market she's describing was what we had come from. So we had moved from California, where it was already a crazy housing market. You had to put in 30% over ask. You had to write it, bidding war, write a heartfelt note on why you were the right family to take, or the right person to take over this piece of land.
Which is a really interesting step in the process that I didn't know about.
Right.
The selling yourself to the seller.
Totally. So. And so when we bought our house in Philadelphia, we were talking to our real estate agent, and we were like, okay, so, because we saw a house we liked, and we're like, okay, how quickly do we need to put an offer? How much over ask do we need to do? And he was like, oh, why don't you take your time? We can come back and see the house again. And we're like, no, we're not used to this.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a very different market.
A very foreign experience, yeah.
But we had tried to buy a couple places in California before we left, before we knew we were leaving.
Yeah.
And had this experience. So the article really resonated with me.
Absolutely, yeah. I know. I mean, so many things that were said in there. It was, she was talking about like the emotional toll it takes on you when you're bidding on homes and you're losing home after home, because because of when we were, looking for a house, it wasn't the same. There wasn't the same, it wasn't as competitive of a market, right? And so we did bid once and we didn't get that house. And I was heartbroken. And I think it's because you're never going to make such a huge decision without really, really picturing yourself there and falling in love with the space and seeing it as yours,
Right.
And so that's so hard, because now you've done that. You've emotionally kind of like given yourself to this property, and then someone says, oh, actually it's not yours. And you're like, I can't picture myself anywhere else. But then you have to like go out on the hunt again.
Right. I thought that the way she put it was that she was mourning the life that she had envisioned when living there.
Yes.
And I was like, and that totally resonates, because you're just like, you get excited about the neighborhood, you get excited about the restaurants that are close, you get excited about the commute or whatever, or the parks that are close, depending on what's important to you, the backyard. and then you don't get it, and it's really emotionally taxing.
Yeah, and then you're like, well, what else could I possibly find that's going to be comparable to this?
Right.
And it is funny because the same process happens again, and you will fall in love with something else. But oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. I mean, I can't remember how many times she said she bid on a house, but it was like
19 times or something.
It
was a lot.
Record-breaking number.
Yeah.
I was, wow, and you have held it together and written this article. Bravo. Like,
yeah. I did think she also had some really good advice too, where she said to shop around your mortgage.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was really smart because that was something that I didn't know was possible really before. Actually, I watched Mortgage Q&A with AJ, and he talks about how you should shop around your mortgage and also shop around your refinance to make sure you're getting the best rate from the best lender. And something that I never would have thought, you're like, oh, of course this bank is going to give me the best rate that they can. Well, they're not always going to. You can...
And it's not always in your best interest. Like they might say, oh, we'll give you this huge number.
Right.
And you're like, oh, that might not be like the best for your financial situation at that time.
Exactly.
But it might be nice for them.
Right. Yes, they're making money off of it, but you are losing.
Yeah, exactly. I liked as well, which... I mean, this is just part of the process, but when we were buying our first home, and so you have a list of things that feel like non-negotiables, and then it's a reality check. You go, okay, we need to pick like our top 2, because you can't have everything. There's no way, whether it be location or how many bedrooms or, I don't know, how much yard space you have, whatever it is. It's like, you really need to narrow it down to like, what is most important to you and your family. Well, that's it for today of Topics with Kem Hills. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to tell you about the shows airing today. Welcome back. We've got some great shows for you to catch today on Mortgage Q&A with AJ. AJ answers the question, when is the right time to refinance? Today on Cunningham Legal, Jim goes through the top estate planning game changers of 2022. The time is now to get all your finances in order for the new year, and Jim will talk you through how to best prepare. One of the newest shows, Medicare School, debuts today, so of course you will not want to miss that. Today on Elder Needs Law, Jason talks about 211. Come find out how this tool is useful for everyday use in your community. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Coffee with Kem and Hills. We will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, bright and early.
Yep.